Here we are. It is the EdCollab Gathering Day. Welcome everyone, quite literally from around the world. We have something like 30 countries that have been logging in and saying hello. We've seen you show up on the back end of our website. A bunch of you have been tweeting. We're so excited to have you here today. This really is one of those days that we look forward to. September was tons of fun, and we're so excited to be back here together with you again today. So I'm Chris Lehman. I'm the founding director of the Educator Collaborative. I'm here to help you navigate your sessions through today, and then we'll get started with our opening Twitter chat. So have your phones or your computers on hand and ready to go. So here are a few things to help you navigate around today. So first of all, we are from the Educator Collaborative, and really our mission is to innovate the ways that educators learn together. We, throughout the day at our Twitter handle, @theEdCollab, will be tweeting out the links to the live sessions. So if you can't log on to our website, or if you're in the car somewhere and you just want to go straight to the live video, just follow along at @theEdCollab, our handle on Twitter, and we'll be tweeting out those live video links throughout the day. You also, if you'd like information on upcoming events like our fall EdCollab gathering, you can join our mailing list at theeducatorcollaborative.com/content. So here's how today works. We, throughout the entire day, have lots and lots of sessions and workshops from educators that are volunteering their time. So if you visit gathering.theeducatorcollaborative.com, where I know a lot of you are right now, this is your main hub to decide which sessions you'd like to attend, where you'd like to go. So along the top bar, you're able to choose session 1, and when you click on session 1, you can see all the options for workshops to attend, or session 3 and all the options for workshops to attend there as well. The other good news is that our sessions today will be archived almost instantly through the magic of the internet, almost instantly after the video presentations are done. So if your stream isn't working so well, if the sound isn't so good, if your children come screaming into the room and you need to step away, just know that everything will be archived for free for possibly eternity, or however long YouTube lasts, and you'll be able to watch the videos live. So no worries if anything goes a little strange. The other big tip, the refresh button. It will be your friend today. If at some point you're watching a stream and it seems like nothing's happening, just hit refresh, and then likely you'll finally be able to see what's there. Our website is now full of hundreds of you, almost a couple thousand of you that are logging in right now. So there may be times where things are a bit slow. Just hit refresh and everything should be back in business. Now today is not just about you viewing. Today is also about collaborating and interacting. So while you're watching today, you're welcome to just watch the videos and watch along with us with your popcorn or your coffee, but we also invite you to tweet along with us. So if you use hashtag the EdCollab Gathering, we will be able to see everything that you're saying and doing. So for example, Chad is on live on Twitter right now, and he just tweeted, hashtag EdCollab Gathering is live now, join us. Or we have, let's see, Sarah Parker, who's saying, so excited to be a part of the EdCollab Gathering starting in just minutes. So if you use the hashtag, the EdCollab Gathering, you'll be able to interact with each other. You also will be able to interact with us. So one other tip, the opening and the closing will just use hashtag the EdCollab Gathering. If, though, you're watching a workshop, one of the many workshops from today, you then can use hashtag the EdCollab Gathering, and you'll use one more hashtag, which is the number of the session that you're watching. And we'll remind you of this throughout the day. So for example, if during the second session, which begins at noon Eastern, you want to watch Kathy Collins and Matt Glover on nurturing early childhood readers, which I want to watch, if you want to watch along with that and you want to tweet live, you'll use hashtag the EdCollab Gathering and then also the workshop number. So hashtag the EdCollab Gathering space hashtag number 4. And by doing that, your tweets will come through to those of us running the technology side of this, so we'll be able to put them up on screen. So for example, you might write, how do you help young readers choose books? Hashtag the EdCollab Gathering, hashtag number 4, question mark. I also wanted to put this particular tweet up to suggest to you that today isn't just about celebrating your learning. Today is also about interacting and collaborating together. So if you love something that someone says, by all means, please tweet it out. We all love to do that at conferences. But also use Twitter as a way to communicate with the people who are presenting. So if you have questions just like that one, post the question. In fact, you can post questions starting right now for sessions that are coming up later. And if you use both hashtag the EdCollab Gathering and hashtag the number of the session, we'll be able to see them and we'll bring them into your sessions. We had a lot of fun with that last time, and so we invite you to do the same here as well. So then one more, what I think is so awesome, little tip or experiment that we'd like you to try out for today. And that's this. And we're introducing it early so you'll have a chance to do it throughout the day. So for our closing session, Mike Sal is a songwriter, an engineer, producer. He's worked with artists like Drake. He also is a music outreach educator. And so for our closing session at 3 p.m., Mike had an idea to do something with all of us that he'll often do with schools and with students. And that is to write some original poetry or lyrics and then turn them into a song. So awesome. So here's the way that you can get involved. We would love for you, starting even right this second, but then certainly throughout the day, to tweet us, or even better, if you can share audio with us, then your audio might go into the song. So you could use Vine if you're on Vine. Vine's a free service, kind of like Twitter, where you can share video. So you could Vine yourself or someone that you love. Or if you're super techie, you could record yourself saying something and then upload it to SoundCloud and then just tweet us the link to SoundCloud. If you don't know what I'm talking about with SoundCloud, that's okay. You can just stick with Twitter. But you could tweet Vine or SoundCloud, tweet a link to a SoundCloud clip to hashtag the EdCollab Gathering song. And what we'd like you to do is to finish this sentence. I want to tell the world that teaching. So, for example, if that were me, I do have Vine, so I am on my phone here. I can go to my, I have so many apps here. Oh, good, none of my funny game apps are on here. So I'm opening up Vine. I'm going to click on the little video here. I'm turning it to face myself. So now it's going to face my camera and you and the mess that I have there. There, it's looking at you. Actually, it's looking at my camera. But now I'm looking at myself. And I'm going to, on Vine, just answer that question. So let's see. I want to tell the world that teaching. Okay, here we go. I want to tell the world that teaching is inspirational. Done. And now I can share, next. There I am talking. So now I can share this post. I'm going to share it on Vine and Twitter. Share the post. I'm adding the hashtag in. There we go. Ah, there I am. So I'm going to share that with hashtag the EdCollab Gathering song. So if you do that, then Mike, during the day today, he's going to try to grab a couple of clips. But between the end of the EdCollab Gathering and maybe he said about a week, he's going to pull all of your video, your sounds, your lyrics, and just like he'll do with students, he's going to turn them into a pretty cool produced song. And that song will link back to on our page after it's completed. So I think that is probably one of the coolest things that I've done in a long time. So we really invite you and love to have you a part of it. Tweet, Vine, or SoundCloud to hashtag the EdCollab Gathering song. I want to tell the world that teaching. The other thing to add in that Mike does with students, and so he wanted to try to give you that experience too, is if you right now or at any point today click on closing session, you'll find a link to a sound clip that Mike has also already made. Because one thing that, and Mike will talk about this later today, but as we were talking, he said one thing that's important to him is and you're going to love this, everyone, he said, I want to give students choice to use their own voice, And I said, we do the same thing. And so one thing that he likes to do is to play some audio for students and then ask them, what comes to mind for you? What feelings are you having? What ideas do you have? So Mike is inviting you to not just tweet your responses to the end of that sentence, but if you click on closing session on our webpage, there's an audio link, and you can listen to an original track that Mike has produced. And he's inviting you to listen to that track, and then you can ask yourself, okay, so now how might you answer that question? Because the track is complex. There's parts that feel high, there's parts that feel low. So you might be listening, and here I want to tell the world that teaching is sometimes really stressful. Or I want to tell the world that teaching needs to be more respected. Or I want to tell the world that teaching is the greatest thing I've ever done with my life. And the song might help inspire that in you. So we invite you to visit the closing page and to try that out. So this is a big experiment, but I think it's going to be super awesome. So we invite you to do that. So before we kick off our session, one thing that feels important to us here at the Educator Collaborative is that we are all working together to support not just each other, but to support people that are doing big, important things in the world. So I'd like to bring on our friend Kristen Zemke, who will also be joining me this morning, to talk a little bit about our adopted charity for today.
Hey everybody, good morning. It is wonderful to be joining you here today with the Ed Collab gathering. I am thrilled to share our charity today. The Rochelle Lee Boundless Readers Foundation from Chicago is a charity that's very near and dear to my heart. Started in 1988 as Oscar Mayer School librarian. Rochelle Lee retired. A group of parents started this foundation to carry on her passion for reading and for living life as a reader. Today, the Rochelle Lee Foundation puts high-quality, culturally rich, and culturally diverse books in the hands of kids in urban settings. In addition to that, they build classroom libraries so that kids have choice in what they read, so they have access to daily independent reading as well as home library book checkout, and furthering the mission, as Chris said, of the Ed Collab. A really nice parallel is that Boundless Readers also provides teacher development in the forms of classes, teacher book clubs, and study groups, as well as MRPD. And so we really felt like this was a fantastic charity for us that brings together putting books in the hands of kids, diversity in the titles and choice for students, and of course celebrating that teacher development and PD piece. So we're going to be tweeting out some information about the Boundless Readers Fund later today, so please check that out.
And one piece of us adopting a charity for today is that we're offering everything that we're doing today for free. In fact, everyone who's presenting and an incredible tech team, which I'll introduce you to at the end of the day. Everyone is giving their time, both for literally hours before we started and then right now. So because of that, we'd love for you to consider, if you were attending this conference and you were maybe going to buy a sandwich during the conference if you were out somewhere, or maybe you're feeling really generous and you're thinking, if I were to pay to attend this today, and we really invite you to consider donating what would have been your coffee money if you were at a hotel somewhere attending a conference, to our friends, our adopted charity for today, Boundless Readers. So you can find a direct link to learn more about them, or to just donate directly on our main page. You also will find a direct link to them on every one of our session pages. So if you click on session 1, for example, you'll see a link directly to them. So you can learn more about them. And again, even just what would have been a cup of coffee money, we would love for you to share that to support the children of Chicago, the educators that are there, and Boundless Readers outreach to other areas and neighborhoods as well. So thank you, Kristen, for sharing that with us. All right. It is time to begin our day. Oh, one person had a question. What was that? hashtag again that we're using. So it's hashtag the EdCollab Gathering song is if you're going to send in some tweets, vines, or videos. If you forget that at any point, just click on closing and all the information's there as well. Okay, so now the big event. We're going to begin together today with our first opening session here with myself, Kristen Zemke, and Heather Rocco. Now, I'll tell you just before we officially jump in, we're aware that there are hundreds of you on right now, so this may be one of the fastest running Twitter chats we've ever experienced in our lives, but we're going to do our best. What we'd like to do is Kristen, Heather, and I, we're going to, sort of like you would on Twitter, we're going to introduce a question to you, and we're going to follow what many of you who are often on Twitter chats call the Q1A1 format. So we will put up on our screen, and we'll also be tweeting out to you through @the_EdCollab, our handle. We're going to tweet out to you a question starting with like Q1. And then we'll invite you to answer on Twitter using hashtag the EdCollab Gathering. But in your answer, use A1. So Q1 goes with A1, Q2 goes with A2. You'll see some slides of that as we go. Then Kristen, Heather, and I, we will answer whatever questions we post live here. But what we're really looking forward to, and we'll see how this goes, but what we're really looking forward to is we're going to pull some of your tweets, and we'll put them on the screen, or we might read them out. So we're looking forward to this kind of blended live and on Twitter tweet-a-thon. If you are brand new to Twitter chats, this is about to blow your mind because so much is going on. One big tip, if you use something like tweetchat.com or there's twubs.com, I don't know what it stands for, but it works. If you use a service like that, tweetchat.com, you can type in the hashtag the EdCollab Gathering, and then you can control how fast or slow the tweets come in. So that'll help you if you want to just like breathe a little bit. You also are welcome to just not look at everyone else, just tweet your own answers. That'll work too. Here we go. We're getting ready to start. So before we begin, I first should introduce my friends here. So you just heard from Kristen Zemke a couple of minutes ago. I mean, first of all, I don't have to introduce these people. You all know them. But Kristen is an incredible educator. She's the author of Connecting, I've just lost the title of your book, Technology and Could Say It.
Okay. Yeah, Connecting Comprehension and Technology.
There you go. I was going to say Technology and Comprehension, but I forgot what order they go in. So she's co-author of that incredible book that supports reading, learning, and technology integration. Kristen also does incredible work as an Apple Distinguished Educator. She presents at national conferences across the country and around the world. One of the things that Kristen continually helps me do is to see possibilities for kids. She has shared with us ways that kindergartners can record themselves kind of giving thoughts about their writing and their reading, and every time I talk with her I feel like it blows my mind. So please join me in a Twitter applause for welcoming Kristen Zemke. Then Heather Rocco, another friend of yours, friend of mine too. Heather is English Language Arts Supervisor in New Jersey. She also heads up, is a part of the executive committee for NCTE's CEL, which supports English leaders, administrators, chair people around the country and across the world. Heather is a big part of their LitLead Twitter chats. She helps to run those and organize those, and consults across the country, around the world as well with us here at the Educator Collaborative, and lots of work that she does too. So Heather is also one of my favorite poetry lover people in the world. During Teacher Poets, she's helped send some poems my way that I might want. So Heather, welcome. Heather, Twitter applause for Heather too. All right, so we're going to jump into our live and on Twitter conversation. And our goal here is to think about inspiration. Our entire day is built around the idea that educators learn from each other, grow with each other, and are inspired by one another. So our conversation that we're kicking off here is all about that. So here comes question number one. Question one, how did you get where you are today? Who invited you to stand on their shoulders? If you're tweeting, if you could use A1 and then make sure that you include hashtag the EdCollab Gathering. So how did you get where you are today? who invited you to stand on their shoulders? And then live on camera here, we'll get started. I think Kristen will start us off with this question. So we'll start a conversation here, but we'd love to bring in your tweets as well.
Absolutely, and I'm so happy to kick off with that question, because I think if we look back at our career and reflect for a couple minutes, there's so many people who we have been inspired and impressed by, far back to my professors in college, as well as my cooperating teacher, Kathleen Kahn, when I was student teaching. But I think this idea of standing on somebody's shoulders is an idea that I get a lot from Steph Harvey and Smokey Daniels. Both of them have been tremendous mentors. Great fortune of mine to meet them as they worked on their book, Comprehension and Collaboration, at my school in Chicago, and then across the years have guided me and been reflective partners and pushed deeper and asked some of those big questions. And so moving forward, you know, Steph talks about how she stands on the shoulders of Donald Graves and all of those who came before her. I think it's a big responsibility and a challenge and such an honor to hopefully continue to do great work that celebrates these practices, as well as invite others along in this amazing journey of educating kids as well as teachers.
And with that, so when you say, like, because I have a version of this answer too, when you think about how, like, Steph inspired you, I imagine that part of that was first she didn't even know who you were. Like, first it was like through her books or through workshops that she gave. How was that like for you? Like, where did the mentorship start and where did it go?
I think the mentorship started in her writing and her books, and I was learning from Steph Harvey before I ever saw her speak at a conference or have a conversation with her. And so getting to know authors through their writing was the big first piece. And then I remember the moment when I picked her up from the airport to take her around, and I was like, oh my goodness, Steph Harvey is in my car. Like, I have a brain trust of elementary education here, and I have to drive carefully. So it was such an exciting experience, but I think a lot of it was feedback that matters, and as educators, we're always looking for that quality feedback, that push, not that, like, outstanding performance on a carbon copy end of your evaluation. But when Steph Harvey's at the back of your rug saying, Kristen, say it again, only this time say it like this, that's the kind of feedback that I needed, and the mentorship to get to the next point in thinking about teaching and learning.
And here's some from online. We have Dana's joining us. She said, I attach myself to brave leaders like Tammy J. Ward and Kelly M. Boswell who have super strong shoulders. I love that. Here, Danielle is saying, I found so much inspiration from colleagues, but I'm mostly challenged by the people on Twitter. I love that. Here's Frankie joining us. I was lucky to work with Bonnie Chambers at Bowling Green, and I learned so much from her. Or here's Marcy. I got where I am today because I've had wonderful mentor teachers leading the way. I love so many more coming through. I love both thinking about the people that have helped to build our field, but then also many of you reaching out to the people that are around you too, which I think then leads us to, if I can find it here, probably our next question, thinking not just to the people behind us or in front of us, but maybe also thinking about the people behind us. So here's question 2. Which is one of you gets to introduce it, and I can't remember.
Yeah, no, I'll go ahead and introduce this one. I'm sorry, I was sharing some mentor words on Twitter. But I think question 2 is taking a look at, you know, it's not only the experienced people, as Chris said, but what early career educators have you learned from and how? Again, we're going, if you're on Twitter, to that A2 response format, so please use that as well as the EdCollab Gathering hashtag, but really take a look and think about who are you learning from that might be just getting started as a teacher or a few years into the field, and how is that impacting you?
Great, and I'm going to pop in and start the conversation with early career educators. I'm blessed in that I'm in a position where I get to hire the people with whom I work, and I've hired some amazing folks who are early career educators who inspire me every day. And we've had a real push in our department about making student work public and finding authentic audiences for our kids. And Christina McCabe, shout out to Christina, who works in my department, is someone who's really been pushing that envelope, publishing her This I Believe podcast with students on Weebly and sending them off into the world. Recently she did that, and she got response from a grandma in Florida who had listened to her grandson's This I Believe on a podcast and was just so appreciative of them doing that. So, I have so many educators who have taken on independent reading initiatives. My department is just full of not only early career educators who are pushing their thinking, but people who really inspire me every single day. So I've been truly, truly blessed to surround myself with people who want to take a leap and take a risk. So it's been wonderful.
Kristen just shared out a tweet. If you'd like to give a shout out here too.
Absolutely. I'm so lucky to work in a classroom with a early in her career teacher, Allison Cardoso, and she was formerly a high school teacher and is now in her second year teaching third grade. And so to watch someone go from the adolescent years to those early childhood years has been amazing. But what I love about Allison is that she is so open to try anything. She's very reflective and responsive and listens to the kids. And so I step back and watch her try new things and grow and evolve. And it's so exciting to see some early career teachers that are really taking the reins and excited about the what's next, and then see that transfer to kids, and to know that we've got some great new learning going on out there is amazing.
And Danielle's saying something that I think was kind of an inspiration for us to ask this question. She says, I find a sense of renewal when I have conversations with new educators. Their passion is contagious. And I love that. I love us being able to think to who are the people that inspired us to be who we are, that have come ahead. But there's so much to learn from the people that are just joining our profession too. And I especially love how we, like I think about myself, I can get so disgruntled. I generally try to smile, but I can get so disgruntled and dismayed, and like everything that's happening around us is just all too much. And when you're with someone who's like just figuring it out, there's that, that newness and energy that it grabs you. You almost can't escape it. It's hard to be disgruntled when you're like a conference is happening for the first time ever, and that feels exciting. There's now tons. Here's another one from Chris Bronke. The amazing Alyssa Unray continues to inspire me. In just third year in the field, she has truly changed ed in North Carolina. Awesome. So we've thought about going back. We've thought about the people that have been here before us, and the ones around us are mentors. We've thought a bit about the people ahead of us. And so our next question, which Heather will introduce, is kind of just like thinking then in general all around us. So here's question 3.
So question 3 is, who else do you learn from in your community or outside?
And so I'll take this one. I'll start talking behind this slide so you can all see it, and then I'll take it off in a second. So when I think, I guess part of how I'd answer this question is also to invite, maybe even plead for all of you to be as involved in committees and areas of our profession that you possibly can. Like right now I'm seeing like Frankie Siverson popping up on Twitter, and I think of like how Frankie has created this, well, not more than one, incredibly vibrant learning communities in Dublin, Ohio. And so I think for myself, when I'm learning from people, the places that I learn a lot from are obviously my colleagues, the ones that I'm around, but I also try to be involved in groups of people too. So I think like I'm now lucky enough to be a part of NCTE's middle level section, And so whenever our middle level section steering committee gets together, when we were together at the last convention, or we meet online regularly, it's a group of people that I knew a few of them, but a lot I didn't know until we came together. But I feel like all of our conversations push me. And what I love about that committee is I'm pushed in directions that I both already know something about, but ones that I don't. So for example, I completely admire Matt Skillen as our current chair. Sarah Cater is just leaving as our chair, but she still is a part of our group. And when I watch them lead our conversations, when I watch the ways that they help acknowledge every member of our group, I feel like I'm learning a skill set that I know I want to work more on. So I'd encourage you to both, if you'd like to on Twitter, shout out the organizations or groups or communities that you're already a part of. Or if you aren't, there's so many local reading conferences, state reading conferences, and obviously national groups like NCTE and ILA and others, that getting involved in that way in our profession, for me, is one of the ways that I continue to push myself and learn. So let me pop this question back up. I'll also try to grab some more tweets. And then Heather or Kristen, if you have some thoughts you could add to this too.
Sure, I can pop in. I just tweeted out, but being a part of an organization really changed everything about my career. I joined NCTE and then became involved in CEL, which Chris mentioned in the opening, and that community that is established there have really led me to other avenues to push myself in my thinking, to really try and be the best literacy leader that I can be. So, you know, folks like Chris Bronke, who's presenting later, but Janice Schwartz, who's in my leadership panel later, they really helped me to think about leading literacy in an effective way. So I'm very, very grateful for joining that community. It's changed everything for me.
We have online, Frankie saying, I love the ways that different communities can come together. Social networking, that's an excellent point of that. It's not just in person, but it's online as well. There's a few. There's so many tweets coming through. I can barely keep track of them, so I have my phone open and this. So I'm going to read a couple too. Dana Birtsfield is saying, at Natalie B. Miller. Hi, Natalie. My current principal inspires me every day with a positive attitude and dedication to collaborate. Melissa Jones is saying our group of instructional coaches in our district is amazing. Hashtag KDIC. Hi, Katy, Texas. Leo O'Donnell, I learned from Twitter friends and just went to observe one in action thanks to Paul Solart's hashtag LearnLAP. Hi, Paul. I learned from my Gates family, Robin, Mimi Ratliff, and our Voxer thread. We've been using Voxer, my friends here, and it's awesome. Robin is shouting out Voxer, and then Kelly, oh Kelly, now you're going to make us look like. Kelly says, my students, now I really am getting emotional. My students, I learn every day how to be better and why it's so important to do my best teaching. They inspire me. That's totally beautiful. Any other thoughts about communities?
Yeah, I just think you know, that piece from Kelly is so important, because I think oftentimes as educators we get stuck in our grade band or our grade range and are looking for other first grade teachers, other fifth grade teachers to collaborate with, and I think we need to get outside the box and learn from people across the spectrum of thinking and learning. You know, like some of my best ideas right now are coming from two of my high school colleagues, and we're talking about how thinking and learning looks in 9th and 10th grade is very similar to how it looks in first grade. It just spirals in depth and breadth. And so my advice to teachers is to really think outside your grade band and just look for all those amazing people that you can learn from.
Here's some additional ones. Elaine is shouting out some organizations. Hi, Elaine. She's saying CEL, NCTE, and her local New Jersey chapter. Susan is saying, I learned from everyone around me, teachers, parents, and students. Susan, I love that you brought in parents with that too, and ways that we can learn and connect. You know, it's one of those groups that as an educator, I forget about. You know, like the parents are there, and obviously we all have relationships with them, but when you really think about ways you can learn about their families and learn about their children through them, I think that's huge. So thanks for the shout out to that. Chad, who'll be presenting with Kristen, yay, in the next session, he's saying, I learned and am inspired by my MS EdChat colleagues. all the time, and that's a chat that he helped to co-found for teachers in Mississippi to join. And Jo Ellen, who will also be presenting later today with author Marissa Moss, she says she's grateful for her CE Long Island educators from all of these different school districts, and the Nerdy Book Club. Yes, shout out to our Nerdy Book Club friends for sure. So we wanted to start with these questions, then we have just a couple more before our time is up, but we wanted to start with these to help you think about the people that you connect with and learn from and are inspired by, because all of today's sessions are built around that idea. Most sessions have more than one presenter, and they're more than one presenter of people who learn together or are inspired by each other, some of which are people that have met in person, some of which are people that know each other from Twitter and now they're together. All of the sessions today are about ways that people are inspired to learn and keep learning, and ways that they can share that inspiration with others as well. So we're so happy to get this started. I also kind of wish that I will do this later, that I could just like read through all of these, because that one made me almost cry. There's a few that I'm looking at that are all making me cry. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for starting the day with tears. Okay, so now let's move thinking a bit about not just the people that you learn from, but then the ways that you yourself continue to learn. So I'll kick off question 4 here, and then we'll have Kristen, we'll start us off with an answer. So question 4, what specific ways do you continue to evolve as a thinker? How do you keep learning? And I think when you are responding to this question, you could take it in a couple different ways. So one could be you could share some places that you learn or some practices that you use. You also, though, could think about the sorts of things that you are evolving in now. So you could say, like, I'm really trying to figure out how to have parents more involved, and so I'm trying to reach out to find some ways that I can do that too. We also would invite you, as you're watching each other's tweets, to favorite or maybe even follow people who are tweeting things that you are also interested in as well, because we hope that this Twitter chat, like many Twitter chats, allows you to connect with new people and kind of grow the people that you're inspired by and learn from. So, okay, there's question 4. What specific ways do you continue to evolve as a thinker?
Yeah, and Chris, I'm so glad you said that. I tweeted that earlier, but I think, of course, Twitter is an amazing place to go for on-demand professional development, to connect with people, groups, organizations around the world that can further our thinking. And some of the best ways to find new colleagues to follow is through a chat like this. So please, friends, as Chris said, pick up some new follows today, because you never know who's going to be the next person to inspire you. Some of the communities that have been hugely impactful on me is the First Chat community on Twitter, and every Sunday night at 7 Central, the First Chat community from around the world meets and talks about issues that are relevant to first grade. And whereas I initially met people online through this chat, I've now become face-to-face friends with so many of them and taken vacations with a number of them, but really taking a look at how can we take our professionalism to the next level. Twitter is a great opportunity for that. For me, as Chris said in the introduction, my Apple Distinguished Educator family has been so instrumental in guiding my thinking over the last 2 years. Again, that's a place I go to connect with those that might not teach my exact grade level, but are really thinking about how we can be innovative with our students, with our classrooms. And then I think another place that I continue to go and get fueled with energy for the what's next is conferences. And so, it's something where it can be a little challenging to get to conferences and to find the funding to attend, but I think oftentimes not only the sessions of the conference, but those after hours of face-to-face meetups, the conversations you have in the hotel lobby with people have been so thoughtful in moving me to the next step.
I just jumped on to nod a lot, but I agree. I think whether it's a local chapter like the Albany Reading Association here in New York, or it's a state conference, or if you're able to go to a national conference, or even like a workshop day somewhere, I agree with you that I think some of the most incredible learning, the ways that you really can keep growing is not just through who's presenting, but it's those like, let's go grab lunch together conversations that you have. I mean, I've been lucky enough to have that experience with both of you and many of you that are online too. So a couple of tweets that are coming. Oh man, I missed a bunch. I looked away for 5 seconds. There's like 100 going by. So some things that people are saying. A bunch of people are talking about professional reading. So here's Catherine saying, I've been doing a lot of professional reading to expose myself to new ideas and challenge my thinking. Angela's right along on the same thing. Hi, Angela. I'm in a book partnership with Mrs. Baldonado. And hi, Mrs. Baldonado. We read, talk, eat, and grow together. I love that. Laura's saying, I watch my students and how they learn. Makes me wonder new possibilities. That's another trend that people are talking about is you can learn by reading. You also can learn by studying your students. I am now never going to find this tweet because there's so many, but oh, here it is. Frankie has really taking time to listen to my students and push my thinking. Marcy, I love this too. Marcy says, as a literacy coach, I learn from other teachers. When they invite me into their rooms, it grows their thinking. I love that point of, I think there's so much power in visiting other people's classrooms, or I think it was Kristen or Heather, you had mentioned, like even across grades, going into someone else and seeing their work. I've also, on occasion, had some people that have gone into people who don't teach in their same subject area. So I've seen schools like in Wisconsin, there were some social studies teachers that were going over to some English teachers' rooms, and just seeing how other people work can give you lots of inspiration and lots of new ideas as well. Awesome. So let's head over to question 5, and question 5 is kind of a getting ready, a shout out for today. This is one that you are welcome to include some links. So if you are a presenter today, or if you're excited to go to a presentation today, you're welcome to link to some of those sessions that you're excited about, or you can just share some of the ideas that you can't wait to learn. So we're just having now, as we come into the tail end here, kind of a rev up to our big day here. So here's question 5, and I think Kristen is starting us off.
Yeah, and so I think we're looking at what we're excited about today, and I'm super excited to talk in just 30 minutes with my buddy Chad Everett from Mississippi about building empathy in books and beyond, taking a look at how we build identity with the titles that we introduce in our classroom. But even more excited I am about taking a look at the other sessions today. I'm really excited to see Catherine Hill, who's going to talk a little bit about an iTunes U course she built with her 5th grade students. Her students actually created this course, and I think the piece of creation and then taking content and making it for others to use, not just consuming in our classrooms, is so innovative. And I'm thrilled that her 5th graders are going to be joining her today on the session. So really looking forward to checking that session out. Heather, what about you? What are you looking forward to today?
I can't wait to see that one too. I loved her inclusion of students. That's really, really exciting. I think that's great. I'm looking forward to a lot. It's like picking your favorite child at this point. There's so many that are offered. Well, I'm looking forward to my own session, of course, which is at noon. We'll be talking with other literacy leaders about tackling some challenges that are presented in leadership, and doing so joyfully and keeping your spirits up even during frustrating moments. So that's, of course, open to anyone. Lit coaches and all of those folks who are in those leadership roles. But I'm also really looking forward to the next session. Has 2, so I'm going to have to split my time. Well, 3, because Kristen's, of course, presenting the next session too. But I'm excited to hear Dana talk about the culturally responsive literacy practices. I think it's a really important conversation to be having, and I'm excited to see some of the texts that she talks about. And I love poetry, as Chris mentioned, so teacher poets always hold a dear place in my heart. I got started with teacher poets last year. Didn't get to join this year, but I'm definitely looking forward to that. And then I always love to hear authors talk. So later on, as Joellen presents with Marissa, I'm really looking forward to hearing their conversation about mentor authors and text.
You know, I'm right there with both of you. Today is one of those days where you're just like, I wish there were 17 of us. Of just me, I could just completely be everywhere all the time. The good news is, everything's archived. So if you are live in one session, you can always watch another session later. So I agree. It's picking your favorite child. I just can't do it. One that I'm looking forward to is during session 4, Mary Capolini and Emily DeLito talking about supporting English language learners. Mary Capolini, she's celebrating the 10-year anniversary of her really foundational and important book around supporting reading and language development. So I'm looking forward to hearing from her live in person as they talk about that work. I also, I have a very warm spot for Catherine's session because her kiddos are going to be there. And the funny thing about that is she was tweeting pictures of her kids where she said, well, they've basically taken over planning. So I'm looking forward to seeing the session that Catherine's students plan for her. That should be great. So lots of stuff coming in from Twitter. I'd love to learn about research and reading. I'm excited about all the ed tech components that are happening today. Oops, sorry, those come from Amanda Rogers and from Kelly online. Sarah Ahmed, hi Sarah. Sarah's joining us from far away, and she's excited for today. Sarah Parker's looking forward to Kathy Collins and Matt Glover talking about their new book and the work they're doing with young students. Robin, excited for new connections and to learn with the National Blogging Collaborative that's coming up in a session later today, and now there's too many tweets. So lots of energy, excitement for today, which then leads us into our next question, which is, as you're learning and as we're talking about inspiration, part of what we hope to inspire you to do is to inspire others too. So here is question 6.
So question six is, who will you share your learning from today with, and how will you go about doing that? It is all about paying it forward. Not everyone can be here during this time, so who are you going to share what you learn with today?
So I'll get us started with this, and I'm both going to make a plug and I'm going to share some thoughts. So one thing that for sure I'm going to share learning with is I want to attend, like Matt, or if I'll try to get everywhere live if I can, or at least on the archive. I for sure want to see Matt and Kathy's session because I have some young kiddos here at home, and so I would love to share some of my learning with them, some things that I'm learning about helping them with reading. I'd like to do that too. But one big thing that I'd like to, now there's many answers to this, but one way that I hope to share, but I want to invite all of you to share too, is we recently began our own blog here at the Educator Collaborative. You can find it at community.theeducatorcollaborative.com/blog. And that's a place where we've already had some awesome posts, like Heather had a terrific one about leading independent reading in secondary and middle and high school that lots of people had some great feedback and responses to. So one place that I hope to share learning, but I want to invite all of you to share your learning too, is to write a post for our blog. You can find all the information there, and we'll be tweeting about it across the day too. In addition to that, I love how in education we share and maybe even steal really smart things all to help our kids. So I look forward to taking ideas from today and sharing it with other teachers who can share and steal those good ideas for their kids too. Other thoughts?
And that,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in on that too. You know, I think one of the reasons why this gathering is such a highlight a couple times of the year for me is that the sessions are all archived, and so it becomes a piece of thinking and learning that sticks. And it's easy to share because it's all available via the web. And so kind of as we match books to readers, we now have the opportunity to match PD sessions to educators. And so I look forward in the next couple of weeks and months to say, oh, you know what, I had this great 45-minute session you should hear from Matt Glover and Kathy Collins, or, oh, you know what, you should really check out this piece from the National Blogging Collaborative. And so I think that's a great tool for us to use in the future, but then also to think about how we can archive some thinking and learning sessions like this for our kids, and what would it be like for students when they can go back and watch a mini lesson over and over, or have access to it beyond the school day. So as you said, I think there's lots to transfer into our classrooms.
I love that, and you know, what's funny when you say that is there's been a number of people, even in recent months, if I've been like at a conference or something, who will say, you like one example, someone came up to me and said, you know, I have a couple of new teachers that I'm working with, and so one day during one of our sessions, instead of me just like talking and talking and talking, I pulled up, it was Elizabeth Lacey's session on like rubric work that she had been doing with her students, and she said one of those newer teachers said, I've never thought about it in this. I've always thought about rubrics as this thing that you do to like force kids into a grade, and it like completely changed the way that she thought. So I love that you could have you know, anyone from today just show up at your school via online. So a couple from online, because I've lost total track of everything again. Danny's saying, I will share my learning with my fellow instructional coaches. Shout out to Kim Wakefield and Dar Betty. We have one more that I lost. Oh, Carolyn Hilarious, who's also here supporting our tech team today. She's talking about sharing her learning with teachers that she works with in Kuwait. She's a literacy coach there. Jojo de Guzman, hoping to share some ideas with my Clear credential program that he's working through. Joellen offering differentiated PD love, and she's excited to share that. There's just so many. So as you're thinking about today, think about ways that you can take great ideas and have in mind who you could share those with. So you might almost be watching a session, not just with yourself, but imagining those colleagues or those people next to you that you might want to share some of that learning with too. So as we move into the home stretch here, we'd like you to leave today not just thinking about what you can learn from all of these amazing presenters, but we hope to inspire you to think about and continue to think about ways that you can inspire others too. So for our final question before we have some closing thoughts, here is question 7, which is me. So what do you hope to inspire in future educators? So could you think a bit about what gifts do you want to share with them? What ideas do you want to share? What things do you want them to think about? This is also a plug for filling in our hashtag the EdCollab Gathering song. So this might be some inspiration to help you think about that too, and we'll remind you of that in a second. But so here for question 7, what are some things that you hope you can pass on or share or inspire for people that are the next generation of teachers?
I'd love to jump in on that, Chris, and just say, you know, I think this idea of student empowerment and the opportunity to make it possible for our kids, and hopefully this a little bit shift in mindset, or at least shift in narrative of who owns the learning and who does the thinking. And so to step aside and really as teachers become facilitators and guides to our students instead of the one that only has the information. I really like when I have the opportunity to be in classrooms and I can see kids teaching kids, or a teacher saying, I don't know how to do that, but hold on, Sebastian figured it out. Let him come up here and do a mid-workshop share or do a mini lesson for the class. And so I think anytime we can empower our kids, that's inspiring in itself. And so I hope to pass that piece on. Heather, do you want to jump in and share?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I am right there with you, Kristen, with putting students in the middle of their learning. You know, I heard once at a conference, the one who's doing the talking is the one who's doing the learning. So I think that that's really the piece that we have to keep in mind, that we don't teach the content, we teach the student, and you have to put the students in the middle. And so that's really what I think will be our legacy moving forward through today, and you know, all the learning that goes on with today's gathering, as well as what then we are inspired by and bring into our own classrooms and working with our teachers. So it's very hopeful. You know, with all of the kind of rhetoric around education, I don't see that negativity in my teachers or in the teachers with whom I work. I think that we are inspired and want to empower students and show them that they can change the world, and it all starts right here.
I love that. I mean, when you look at even those of you that are participating here online, it's a lot of people. We all have a lot of work to do. We all get tired. We all get exhausted. But the incredible joy and vision that people are sharing. I think you're right. I mean, I read something recently that was saying, and it seemed a little pointed, and I'm a conspiracy theorist, so I could go on and on and on, but it was saying, like, you know, there's going to be a teacher shortage in the future. I feel like they always say there's going to be a teacher shortage, and that students don't want to be teachers anymore. And I just see the voices of people that all of you that are here today, and I think we have an incredible profession with incredible people. So here are some of those people. Elaine saying, what does she hope to inspire in future educators? To keep learning, be passionate, and share ideas. Susan Heller, I'd love to encourage others to be active learners. Kelly Sheffield, want to empower our students to be leaders of their learning. Leah wants to inspire future educators. I want teachers to be inspired to believe in their own instructional decision making. Yeah, and know their students the best. Chris Bronke says trusting our students, trusting our colleagues, trusting our parents, trusting our administrators. That's when we will grow. Brianna wants to inspire future educators to never be satisfied. I love that, Brianna. I'm favoriting it right now. Never be satisfied. Always strive to improve and give 100% every day. You owe it to yourself and to your students. Kathy, that failing is growing. Inspire our students to understand that, and on and on and on. So awesome. Thank you, everyone. I mean, I think part of our job, I think about Tom Newkirk a couple years ago at NCTE, where there was a big meeting about Don Graves' legacy, and he said to this giant audience of people, who's next? He said, who is next? Who can you help be next? Who can be our next voice? Who can be our next champion? Who is coming next behind us that can help all of the amazing work we've all started and all of the passion that we have for our students to continue. So I think live these things that you're tweeting now. I hope that as it's spring and testing season and everyone's kind of stressed out, I hope that you'll live with those. So just as a reminder, because some of you came late, our closing today with Mike Sal, who's an incredible engineer, music producer, he's going to share with us some work that he's done with his own students across the country, and he's going to try this out with us. If you could tweet, or even better, send an audio clip by Vine, or if you're good with SoundCloud, you could tweet a link to that to hashtag the EdCollab Gathering Song, and answer this question: I want to tell the world that teaching. And if you do that, Mike will be able to grab some of those clips and use them in the song. If you're at all confused, I'm just going to go back here for a second because maybe you came in late. If you, excuse me while I do this there, if you go to the closing session link on our page, you'll be able to see a better description of this, including a song that you could use to inspire you. So we would really love to have lots of your voices, your words, even your faces involved in this song that Mike is going to produce for us. So that is, again, use the hashtag the EdCollab Gathering Song, and you could share there. I just want to thank all of you for coming. I know all of us do too, and Heather's going to leave us with some closing thoughts and then going to give you a little heads up on what's coming up in session 1.
Well, thank you everyone for participating. The tweets are amazing. I can't wait to go back and read them all. And we have an exciting day of learning ahead of us. And I think my takeaway from our conversation this morning and reading all of your tweets is it really is about collaborating and learning from each other, and that's what this day is all about. So we have exciting things for you to join. So next at 11 o'clock, we have 3 session options for you. So Krista will be presenting with Chad on connecting readers, finding empathy and humanity through books and beyond. That's a K-6 focused session. And then Chris and the Teacher Poets will be talking about poetry and workshopping poems that they have written. Congratulations to you, brave folks. That's wonderful. And then Dana, Jeanette, and Sylvia will be talking about culturally responsive literacy practices. So again, all 3 of those begin at 11 o'clock. Notice the hashtag EdCollab Gathering, and then each session has its own number. So Kristen's is 1, Dana's is 2, and Chris's is hashtag number 3. And then we can all keep track of the conversation that's ongoing. And then don't forget about our charity that we have, Boundless Readers. Please, if you can take a moment and donate even just a few bucks for a coffee, what would be a coffee, or what it might cost to go to a conference. It's a great organization, puts books in kids' hands, which is so important. So I wish all of you a great day. Tweet out what you learn, and I can't wait to learn with all of you all day long.
And so now is the first of several transitions. So what you'll do is we're about to end our session here. So your screen's going to turn away, and then almost instantly you'll see the beginning. So if you missed some of it, you can watch from the start. But what you can do now is to go to our gathering page, gathering.theeducatorcollaborative.com, and you can move across that the little bar up on the top, and if you select any one of these, you'll see those same options that Heather was just showing you, and then you'll be able to click and watch the live stream from there. So you'll be navigating throughout the day onto the page of the session you'd like to watch. If you are watching remotely and you don't have access to a good web browser, if you just follow our Twitter handle @theEdCollab, we will be posting shortly before sessions begin and shortly after they've started the direct YouTube links to those videos. So you'll be able to see them live wherever you are in the entire world, and there's many of you from all over the world. So thank you all. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Heather, for joining us.
Yes, thank you, everybody, for joining us this morning. This was fun to be here with you.
It was great.
And thanks to all of you online. This was an experiment, and it was totally fun. I really enjoyed it. So have a great rest of your day, everyone, and we look forward to hearing your sound clips and lyrics and then joining you all together again during the closing today. Have a great day, everyone.